Welcome to today's video where we are going to rank all these palettes that you see here. I'm pretty sure there's over 40 palettes here, and if you want to see my favorites to my least favorites, then just keep watching. If this is your first time here, hi, my name is Heather Eaglin. I love all things makeup, especially colorful makeup and indie brands. If you guys love those things too, I hope you will subscribe and click the little bell so you could be notified of all my future uploads. And if you enjoyed this video at the end of it, do me a favor and please give me a thumbs up. Now let's get into the ranking because we have a pretty good ways to go. I started my YouTube channel in April of this year, but I've loved eyeshadow palettes for quite some time. So I've always bought an excessive amount. I just love trying new brands. I love trying new color stories. It's just always been fun for me. And because of that, I had already bought a bunch of stuff this year. But after starting my YouTube channel and me trying new eyeshadow palettes for videos and stuff like that, I've really bought like several a month, and that's why you see such a big abundance of palettes. So we're actually gonna do this from my least favorite, and then we're gonna go all the way up to my absolute favorite. Before we get started though, I just want to give a shout out to the 3 palettes that I bought this year and then never used. This is what happens when I go into a TJ Maxx or a Marshalls and I buy stuff. 9 times out of 10, if I'm doing my makeup, it's for videos. So I bought these and I have never gotten to use them. If any of you are interested in seeing a video with any of these palettes or any of the ones that I show you here today, then just let me know. And if there's enough people asking for it, I will be sure to do a look with them for you. So if you see anyone's comments and you like their idea, give it a thumbs up because that helps me know what you guys are really looking for. This is a recent palette. It should be in my December ranking, which I haven't even filmed yet. This is the ColourPop Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer palette. I actually had fun creating looks with this palette. But it is a neutral color story, and I really don't gravitate towards neutrals, which is the reason why it falls into the 37th place. And then in the 36th place, we have the Blend Bunny Cosmetics Primal Palette. And I know a lot of people are probably gasping right now because I said that, but I just don't work well with the Blend Bunny formula. I don't know why. I think it might just be a formula I'm not used to working with. I just have issues with them being patchy and stuff like that. The color story of this is gorgeous. It's got everything I like. It goes from dark to light and it has beautiful shades. I've just not found it to be an easy formula for me to work with, and that is why I put it at number 36. Here's another palette that I got from TJ Maxx this year. This came out a couple of years ago, but this year's the year I tried it. This is the Glam Light Cherry palette. This is so freaking beautiful. I actually really love this color story, and I had a lot of fun working with this palette, but I had to rank it somewhere, and even though I really do recommend this, I had to put it in a place, you know. Then at number 34, I actually filmed a look with this today. I don't know if you guys have seen it yet, but it's like a smoky glam winter eye look. I had a lot of fun filming with this palette. I think it's really pretty. It's just not my preferred color story. I love the blues in here, but not so much the browns. So because of that, I put it in a lower spot, but I really do like the quality of this and recommend it. Here we have the Melt Cosmetics Bailey Sarian Fatally Yours palette. And while this color story is absolutely gorgeous, first of all, one of my shades came in broken, but all of these colors oxidize on me really bad. They look all the same on the eye. Now, in all fairness, I haven't used these last 3 shades here, but As for all of these, they look the same on the eye, and I was kind of disappointed. This was my first time trying Melt Cosmetics, and I haven't gathered my full thoughts on this palette so far, but in all honesty, I don't think I'm going to be able to recommend it. This is an older palette too. This is Unearthly Cosmetics, the Fairy Frolic. I found Unearthly Cosmetics last year during some of their Halloween releases. So I've been trying to catch up on some of the products that they do have in stock. I love this palette. It's such a gorgeous color story. These metallic shades are really beautiful. But I will say her formula now is way better than this one. And I prefer the newer palettes. But I do really love this color story. Anyways, coming in at number 31, we have the Lunar Beauty Siren Sunset. The packaging on this is absolutely stunning. And so is the color story. This just isn't my favorite formula. I had issues with a lot of fallout and blending, and they're not patchy or anything like that. It's just a thinner formula, kind of like the Blend Bunny, and that's just not the type of formula that I prefer, and that is why it was at number 31. Coming in at number 30, we have the Glamlight Friday the 13th palette. I really love the packaging. It's got that cool lenticular shift on it. I think the color story is really pretty. It's just not my favorite personally. I do recommend this. I think the formula in this is beautiful, but it just depends on what speaks to you, which is why I ranked it here at number 30. Coming in at number 29, we have the Cosmic Beauty Gothic palette. This palette is gorgeous. And as a lot of you already know, I really love the Cosmic Beauty formula. I think it is absolutely breathtaking. I just am not really into an all-purple monochromatic palette, but there's no way I can pass up a Cosmic Beauty release. They are one of my absolute favorite brands when it comes to eyeshadows and indie palettes. And the fact that their palettes are only like $30 for them big 20-pan palettes, which you'll see higher up in this ranking, is just spectacular. You will pay so much more for an eyeshadow palette than that and not even have as good of quality as this one. Let me go ahead and say I'm waiting on 2 more palettes, but I need to go ahead and get this video filmed because I am having like a big dental surgery next week. So I'm trying to get as much pre-filmed as I can before then because I'm not going to be able to film. But I have 2 palettes coming in that I think won't be here until later in the month of December. So that is why you are not seeing those palettes in this ranking. Coming in at number 29, we have the Glamlight Blue Raspberry palette. I got this at TJ Maxx as well, and you know I'm a sucker for a blue monochromatic palette. This palette is stunning. If you see it, highly recommend you pick it up. Such a gorgeous palette, but I had to rank it somewhere, and the reason I ranked it lower is because it is a blue monochromatic palette, and I like a little more variations in my palettes, but I couldn't pass it up either, if that makes sense. Which is quite funny because I also bought this one at TJ Maxx and this one. If you're asking why I needed both, I can't answer that. I've asked myself the same question. I have problems. Now let's get into this little basket. I'm sure I've got these numbers all screwed up. Please overlook me. I can't keep track of what I'm saying. But coming in at number 27. Is this correct? Oh. Yes. Coming in at number 27, we have the Odin's Eye Planet Spirit palette. This was in collaboration with Betty Jean. This palette is so freaking beautiful. Absolutely love it. The only reason I'm putting it down at number 27 is because there's no deepening up shades, but I really do appreciate this palette and I think it's gorgeous. I'm so happy to have it in my collection. If they are still in stock, I highly recommend you check them out. This is another Cosmic Beauty palette. This is the Muse. All of her palettes are supposed to be restocking soon, and I'll try to keep you guys updated in my community tab. But this is a half colorful, half neutral palette. It really spoke to me. I love it so much. I love the grunginess of it. Pink and green, I think, are such a beautiful color combo together. Highly recommend it. The shimmers in this are just so freaking beautiful. I don't know. Yeah, you can see them. Look how, like, wet and metallic they look. I just love their formula so much. Coming in at number 25, we have the Odin's Eye Christmas Eve palette. This is a new to me palette. It re-released this year for Christmas, and I love this so much. I really love, like, this bright macaroni and cheese, yellowish orange. So beautiful. I love the cool tones and the shimmers. It goes from light to really dark. I just love everything about this palette, and I'm so freaking happy to have it in my collection. Coming in at number 4, this one really took me by surprise. This is the Blend Bunny Sugar and Grunge. Freaking love this palette. I love how she has all the light shades, and it goes to really, really deep shades. And then the shimmers. I think this palette is so beautiful, and it is my favorite Blend Bunny Cosmetics palette. I had no issues working with this one whatsoever. Highly recommend it. So pretty. I love the cover too. It reminds me of my grandma. She loved her flowers so much, especially roses. She had so many roses in her yard, and when I seen this, I thought of her, and maybe that's another reason I love it so much. This palette is so freaking beautiful. It has the really cool lenticular packaging too, but I didn't buy this when it first released. It really didn't speak to me, and I didn't think that I would like it, but I used it off camera, and I freaking love this palette so much more than I thought I would. It's so beautiful. Even when I seen they released it, I thought it was such a great twist on a Valentine's Day release, because this did come out on Valentine's Day. But I just think this palette is beautiful. My stepdad also passed away on Valentine's Day, so I really wasn't trying to buy eyeshadow palettes. But I'm glad that I bought it later and at a time I could truly enjoy it. And I'm so happy I have it, which is why it came in at number 24. Now we have the Glamlite Ghostface Lips palette, again with the lenticular packaging. I love how it looks like a busted TV screen. I think that's so cool. But I really didn't think I liked grays at all until this palette. This palette is freaking stunning, and honestly, it looks so much better in person than it does on camera or in pictures at all. It is so freaking beautiful. They actually have a white shade in here, which is something that Glamlite never does. I really appreciated it. The shimmers are so beautiful. It's some of the best shimmers that I have tried from Glamlite, and I highly recommend you guys check this one out. Grays still aren't my favorite, which is why it didn't rank higher. But honestly, I was very surprised at how much I love this palette. And it really made me rethink my opinion about gray eyeshadows. Coming in at number 22, we have the Unearthly Cosmetics Sorcerer's Smoke. This is such a beautiful palette, and if you love this color story, you truly can't go wrong with it. The shimmers are so pretty, so breathtaking. I'll do some of my favorites. You could just see how beautiful those are. And truly, you can't even see the shifts on camera the way they are in real life. I really love the palette, but to me, it still is a neutral palette. And while I love the looks that I created with it, it's still my least favorite of the releases of theirs that I have tried this year. But still highly recommend it. I love Unearthly Cosmetics formula. Coming in at number 21, we have the Cosmic Beauty Delicious Delights. Love this freaking palette. I love how colorful it is. It does have a multi-chrome in it as well. So freaking pretty. My only issue with this palette is that other than that dark purple shade, it doesn't go deep enough for me. For me, this is a companion palette, one I would bring in. Actually, that would probably be really pretty for one with the Gothic palette. Yes, because we got that black in there. If you guys want to see a bingo on that, let me know, and I can make that happen. But where is it? I just had it. Oh, it's under here. Duh. Anyways, it would be really pretty with this one as well. But the only reason I didn't rank it higher is because it didn't have really any mid-tones or deep shades except for the one. And for me, that makes it a one-trick pony because I don't do like just light washes of color. I like a lot of contrast in my outer corner. And if you guys have seen any of my videos before this one, you would know how true that is. So that's why it's ranking lower than the other ones. But I really did love it. It's a great palette. And if you love this color story, you're going to really enjoy this one. Such a good one. Sorry if that noise bothers you. I didn't mean to do that. I'm going to move that over here so we don't have to hear that again. This one might be a surprise, coming in at number 20. I believe this was released in the spring of 2022, but I'm not sure. I didn't buy it until this year. This palette is freaking gorgeous. It is the Glamlite Barbie Dream Summer palette. Freaking love this color story. It's got like that oil seepage thing going on, but honestly, I don't care about stuff like that. This palette is gorgeous. Some of the purple tones in here, I love so much. I love this whole middle section because it's got shades that you don't see a lot in palettes. And I really love this mustardy yellow, and I just think this is a very well curated palette. I love that it's got the deeper shades. My only beef with Glamlite is they don't put enough like inner corner shades for us pale girls, and I wish they did that. But it's still a great palette, but that's why it's coming in at number 20. Coming in at number 19, we have the Full Fantasy Leonard Beauty and Laura Lee eyeshadow palette. I really love this. It's one of my favorite releases that either one of them has ever done. I really love the grunginess. It's very fall, and I think this palette is beautiful. I actually did a video on this, but I got it completely edited, and then something happened and the file corrupted, and I no longer had it on my editing program, and I was going to have to completely re-edit it, and I said, screw that. I wasn't like that into it anyway, so I just didn't even upload it. But I think this palette is so pretty. Really love the shimmers in here. And I think it's the most exciting neutral palette that either brand has ever done. But that's just my opinion. I'm not really into neutrals that much. But it's still beautiful. Coming in at number 18, we have the Adept Cosmetics Sumerian Sunset. This palette is freaking spectacular. If you buy it and you really are happy with the mattes, then I highly recommend it. For me, the mattes aren't deep enough, and that's why it's ranking a little lower. But if I bought this just as an all shimmer palette, like, I wouldn't be mad. This palette is so freaking gorgeous. The multi-chromes in here are spectacular. They're some of the best that I've ever tried from any brand. I just really love this. But for me, this isn't a standalone palette. I have to pull other things in with it to complete a look. And I think I paid over $100 for this palette. And I feel like if I'm going to pay that much money for a palette, then it better do everything. It better buy me dinner. It better cook it. And this just, it ain't doing it, which is why it's ranked a little lower. But if you love this color story, you're going to freaking love this palette because it is amazing. It just doesn't have everything that I want. Coming in at number 17, we have the Blend Bunny Cosmetics Makina palette. This is a really pretty color story, and I don't think it's a hard, like, impossible formula to work with. I really loved the looks that I created with it. I just don't think it's an effortless formula, which is why these palettes aren't ranked higher in this ranking, but it is a good formula, and because of that, I do recommend it. It's just not one of my, like, absolute favorite releases of the year. Coming in at number 16, we have the Unearthly Cosmetics Lure Palette. This palette was used to create one of the first videos on my channel, which they're not very good, trust me. But I really love this color combination. I love the sunset vibes you get in this palette. So beautiful. I really love the shimmers in here as well. I just love the Unearthly Cosmetics formula, and I highly recommend this one. I think it might be out of stock right now. I could be wrong, but if it's not, I highly recommend you pick it up. It is such a freaking good one. We're down to the last 14, and coming in at number 14 is the Odin's Eye and Angelica Nyquist Little Ghost palette. It was part of the Halloween collection, and this palette is freaking beautiful. I really love the bright neon shades in here. Love purples and pinks and blues together. I had a great time working with this, especially the second and third and fourth time I used it. The first time I used it, I struggled a little bit, but I think that was a me problem. But this is a great palette. Beautiful color story, and I'm about 90% sure they are still in stock, and I highly recommend them. I really love the Odin's Eye formula. Coming in at number 13, we have the Unearthly Cosmetics Get Groovy palette. This still is in stock. It's part of the summer mystery boxes from Unearthly Cosmetics. I got this in the large box. Hopefully you didn't want to be surprised. There's tons of videos out on it now, so I highly doubt that's a secret that's still been kept. But I love this. It's like almost a rainbow palette, but it's not. There's like a twist on the shades. Highly recommend it. So beautiful. Love that it goes from light to dark, and I had a great time filming with this one. I do have a video with a lot of these palettes on my channel. Coming in at number 12, we have the Glamlight Scooby-Doo palette. This has the cool lenticular packaging on it too. I love this color story so much. I know a lot of people didn't like the palette because it's got like the big gaps in here, and it is kind of annoying because of that, because this palette could have been a lot smaller than what it actually is, but I don't mind it that much, and it's worth it to keep it in my collection. Really love the color story of this, and I love that we have this really deep row of shades. Unfortunately, though, I still need shades that are lighter. I don't like putting like blues and stuff in my inner corner because I do have dark circles under my eyes, and it just kind of accentuates that, and none of these shimmers are light enough either. So because of that, this isn't a standalone palette, but I still love it. I can always bring something in. It's just harder when I'm filming with it because people want to see a full look with just the palette, and if you don't have all the shades that you like in a palette, it makes it harder to give people what they want. Coming in at number 11, we have the Odin's Eye Sea Talk palette. This is in collaboration with Lauren Mae Beauty. I'm pretty sure this one's still available. I really love this palette. It's half neutral, half blue. I love the pop of the neon and the pink. I had such a fun time working with this, and out of the 3 collaborations, I thought this would be my least favorite, and it ended up being almost my favorite. I just had a great time working with it, and I highly recommend you check them out. Now we are down to the top 10, and coming in at number 10, we have the Glamlight Cosmetics and Garfield palette. I had so much fun with this. I don't think you guys have seen a look with it yet, but I've actually already created 4 looks with this palette. I had way more fun with this than I actually expected to. I love the color story. Again, it's like the sunset vibes. Really love the shade up here. I just had so much fun with it. And they released so much, so I almost didn't buy this palette because I kind of feel like I need a break. But I'm so freaking glad I did. I didn't buy the whole collection this time, though. I just bought the palette, the blush, and the sponge, and I really had a lot of fun with it. Coming in at number 9, we have the Odin's Eye Merry Christmas palette. I love this palette so much. I love the warm tones. I love the the turquoise, and these grungy greens down here. I just love there's like a grungy twist to this palette, but then you got the bright pops too. I had a blast working with this, and honestly, I can't wait to create more looks with this. I have a video idea of doing a palette bingo with the 2 Christmas palettes and the 2 Angelica palettes. I think that could create a really cool look, but I really enjoyed this one. Coming in at number 8, we have the Nomad Cosmetics Royal Europe palette. I got this before I started my channel. This is the first time I've tried Nomad in years. If you probably haven't seen my eyeshadow palette declutter yet, but I got a palette in like BoxyCharm or Ipsy like 5 years ago. It was the Something Berlin palette, and those shadows in that palette were so ashy and terrible. And I didn't try Nomad for a long time because of the quality in that. I just assumed that it was bad, but I seen this palette and the jewel tones really drug me in. I couldn't say no. All these are multi-chromes down here, and I'm so freaking glad that I bought this one because it is freaking gorgeous, and I really love it so much. Again, my only issue with this one is that there's no shades that are light enough in this to really be able to even have a mid-tone in it. All of these are really deep on me, except for maybe this one, but it's still too light for an inner corner or anything. But I still love this palette, and I haven't tried anything since, but I really, really want to. So let me know down below in the comments which is your favorite Nomad palette based on what you see here and what you know that I like. I would love some recommendations because this palette was incredible. They were so pigmented and blendable, just really great quality. Coming in at number 7, this was my favorite of the 3. I think it was called the Perfect World collection. This is the Odin's Eye Flora Story palette. Was in collaboration with Makeup Just for Fun. The artwork is so pretty, but I love this palette so much. I really love the sage greens with these dusty purple shades. So freaking beautiful. I had a blast with this one, and I was kind of shocked that this was my favorite, but I really loved it. And this palette actually reminds me a lot of the Muse. It's like if the Muse was just a 10-pan palette. I mean, you get a lot more with the Muse, but if you are someone who likes the lighter looks, you would really love this palette. They're both freaking beautiful. I had a great time with that. Coming in at number 6, and I'm shocked that it didn't make it in my top 5, but like I said, I tried so many freaking great palettes this year, and it was really hard to rank some of these because they are so good. But we have the Unearthly Cosmetics Fall Magic palette. I love this so much. This palette is beautiful. I love the pink and the greens, this like dirty orange shade. This is just such a fun palette. The shimmers in here are so freaking great. If you get anything from this video, please take this. You have to try Unearthly Cosmetics or Cosmic Brushes if you haven't yet. Those are my top tier 2 favorite brands. I love them so much. I also really enjoy Glamlight and Odin's Eye as well, but my absolute top 2 have to be Unearthly and Cosmic Brushes, and not necessarily in that order, but this palette is spectacular. I love how it goes from really light to really deep. I don't mind a shimmery inner corner, so I can use that one, but I had a blast with this palette. I've created a few videos now, and I'll try to make you guys a playlist so that you can find them and see them all. But I just really love this brand, and I cannot wait to see what else they come out with. And I cannot wait to get my Dreamer collection in the mail because I'm so excited to try that palette and the highlighting palette. But I'm really excited to try the new bullet lipsticks too. Now we are down to my top 5, and coming in at number 5 is the Odin's Eye Trick or Treat palette. This was in collaboration with Angelica as well. This palette is so beautiful. Really love the oranges and the mustard shades. This is a neutral palette for a colorful lover or a colorful palette for a neutral lover. It really caters to everyone. Really love this green corner down here. This color is so, hold on. This color is so freaking pretty. Might help if I get it on camera. But I just love it so much. I had so much fun with this one. I created so many great looks with this. Not to toot my own horn, but how could I not? I love like this blackened green shade. It's got like a gold shift. Just freaking stunning. The mustards up here. This is such an Angelica palette. And I love it. I love the freaking artwork too. Coming in at number 4, this was one of my favorite freaking palettes this year. This is the Unearthly Cosmetics Heather Austin Resurgence Collab palette. I love this. I love the color story so much. It's such an unexpected color story. Even though I cannot use these 2 shades down here because I'm allergic to something in those pigments, I still love this palette so much that there was no way I was not putting it in my top 5. Such a fun color story, such a great formula. You've heard me rave on and on now, but look at that. Oh, it's so pretty. I just highly recommend this palette, and I'm pretty sure it's still available. It is a collab palette, so it won't stay available forever, any of these collab palettes, but if you think this is just as beautiful as I do, and you don't have it yet, I highly suggest you snatch it up. Now we're down to my top 3, and these are my absolute favorite releases of the year, and I love them so much. Coming in at number 3, we have the Bella Beauté Bar Basic Witch Palette. I love this so much. Again, with the greens and the purples, and we got this murky yellow shade. So freaking pretty. I love the looks that I created with it. And honestly, I want to play with it again so bad. But I love that it goes from really light to really dark. We got some black shades in here. Multi-chromes and duochromes. Such a beautiful palette. And I only have one other palette from them, and it was one of their first releases. And they've updated their quality since then. But I really, really, really want to get more into this brand. So again, let me know down below which Bella Beauté Bar palette is your favorite, or which one would you like to see me review. And I will try to grab it if it's still in stock. Coming in at number 2, I freaking love this palette. I'm so obsessed with it. This is the Unearthly Cosmetics Devour palette. Again, with the purples and the greens. These are like sangria shades. And then you got the really cool greens. You got a black. These 2 are, these 3 are holochromes. They look white, but they're actually not. Oh, you can't really even see them good because my lights wash them out. But please go to Instagram and look up Unearthly Cosmetics and just scroll down and look at their swatches. This palette is freaking phenomenal. Love it so much. This one is such a pretty shade too. It's like a pink to green. You can't see it. These stupid lights wash it out, but all 3 of those light shades make really cool highlights too. I freaking love this palette. Coming in at number 1, and honestly, it was hard for me not to rank this one number 1, but I gotta be true to myself. Coming in at number 1, we have the Cosmic Beauty Winter Wonderland palette. This I recently done looks with on my channel. I recently just uploaded a bingo using this one and Serenity together. And I freaking love this palette. I gasped when I saw her pictures of this right before the release. I set my alarm and I woke up like 2 hours before the alarm went off. And I made sure I didn't miss this. I love this palette so much. If I were a palette, this is what I would look like. Blue and purples and teals and mints. It's just a gorgeous color story. And again, it does restock, I think, sometime in January. and I highly recommend you guys grab it. If you loved the Serenity palette, you're going to lose your freaking mind over this one. Don't miss it. I'm not trying to pressure anyone to buy anything. God knows I don't have codes or nothing like that. This is just me being 100% straight honest with you. Don't miss this one. It is freaking gorgeous. And you're going to be kicking yourself in the ass for the next 10 years because you don't have that Winter Wonderland palette. I'm being funny, but seriously. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching all the way to the end. And I hope you guys don't get tired of seeing so many declutters and rankings. But like I said, I'm having surgery, so I'm trying to pre-film, and I don't have any of my palettes that I've ordered to film with. So I got to work with what I have. But I appreciate you guys and your support so freaking much. So much more than you could ever imagine. I love being here, and I love that so many of you actually watch my videos and you comment on them. It means more to me than you could ever possibly imagine. But again, thank you for watching it all the way to the end. If you see any of your favorite palettes that I missed this year, and if they're still in stock, let me know down below. And also let me know, what are your top 5 palettes of the year? If you bought 5. But maybe if you bought 1, just tell me your top palettes of the year. Thank you guys so much. And until next time, bye.